Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and every week we work to bring you folks from around the world who are doing all kinds of interesting things to improve communities locally, globally, and digitally. Our goal in doing this is to find stories that inspire you to see where service might be another avenue, a new avenue in your life. How can you make a difference in the lives of others as well? And so that motto of Rotary International, service above self, is a part of how we see ourselves in the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. We are one of over 36,000 clubs around the world, 1.4 million Rotarians dedicated to making a difference. And so we are glad you have joined us. Our speaker this week is Lucie Gamond Rius. She is with the Imece organization, and we are excited to share her story. You read the introduction either on our meeting page or perhaps below the video on our YouTube page. And feel free to pause and read that again if you haven't. But Lucie, I hand it over to you. Welcome. It is a pleasure to have you with us at the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley.
So hello, I'm Lucie, and I'm going to talk about Imece Initiative. So Imece, it's a movement that was created in 2012, and at the beginning it was a solidarity cafe in Çeşme in Turkey at the border with the Greek island of Chios, so at the border with the EU. So Çeşme has always been a migration point to reach the EU, but in 2015 thousands of people arrived and got stuck at the coast, and in awful conditions. I'm talking about families with babies or pregnant women who were waiting for sometimes for weeks without water, without food, without anything. And so we just couldn't close our eyes, so we decided to act. And we just simply started to distribute water, food, and survival items to the people every day. And after the EU-Turkey agreement in 2016, many camps settled not only in the coast, but in all Izmir province. And we continue to do distributions in all camps. Today, we also continue to do distributions, and you will see short videos of a video that we took today in today's distribution. And during this time in 2015, 2016, we understood three main problems in this specific context. And the first one is the special precariousness of the situation of refugee women, because we have to know that the vast majority of displaced persons in Turkey, they are women and children. And this situation has a very strong impact on children, and it impacts them so much they cannot access proper education and schooling system. Also, one other main important point is the fact that many drawings could be avoided by a simple call to rescue services. But usually people, after weeks on the road, they don't have access to electricity. And when they reach the coast, then they get inside a boat with 70, 80 other persons on a small boat. And when they cross, if something happens in the boat, no one has just like 5 or 10% of battery to call the rescue services. And so many people are endangered and die because of this situation that could be actually avoided. So we started at that time to look for solutions. And in 2017, we started the mobile education program, which allowed to register 83 refugee children into school. And today, 50 children follow every day our schooling program. And we are now building a school inside a bus so that children can they can learn in better conditions. And in 2018, we started the Solar Age program. So this is a solar engineering program, specially dedicated to refugee women. So they, at the end of their training, they can do electrical soldering, they can install solar home systems, they can find job opportunities in technical industries, and they can build FA solar power banks. So can show you on the video. So EFE, EFE for energy for everyone. This is, it also means EFE in Turkish, it means Robin Hood. So it's a kind of inside joke. And it's a solar power bank within a wooden frame. And as you can see, you have charging cables for all types of phones. You have also a torch included. And you can charge it with just on the main with normal electricity, but also through the solar panel with the sun. So this is really something that we designed for people, displaced persons on the road, and that we distribute to displaced persons on the road. So for short numbers, in 2022, we trained 60 refugee women in solar engineering, and we distributed 320 EFE in Turkey, Bosnia, and Ukraine. And also next week, we will distribute 100 EFE also. So our aim for 2023 is to deepen our education programs for children and adults. And also we want to commercialize the EFE solar power banks. So our aim is to create a social business. So and this social business will allow to create safe and well-paid working opportunities for refugee women in Izmir. And also it will finance the education and distribution programs. And it will help us reaching Imece's financial independence. So thank you very much for listening. And here we will see a short video that we took today during the distributions. So.
All right, Lucie, very, very powerful stuff. And so when we think about what it is that we do as Rotary, I think that that need to find ways to meaningfully identify issues and finding creative and sustainable ways to address them becomes so important. We'll move into the Q&A, but before we do, I'd like to introduce the others who are on the recording today. From our own club, we have Phil Dean here in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. And from the Eugene Metropolitan Rotary Club, we have Heather Edwards. Heather, are you in Mexico or are you in Oregon at the moment?
I'm in Guadalajara.
All right. Well, bienvenidos to you for being here today. So my name is Rushton. I am the programs chair for the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. And Lucie, I'll start the questions. Tell us a little bit about you becoming involved in this. So you go from leading your life as you do to seeing an issue and deciding you need to do something. Can you tell us more about that process for you?
So I came in 2016 and I just came as a volunteer because I was just curious about the situation and I was supposed to stay, I think it was a week. And then I stayed 2 months. Then I finished my studies and I came back for the 6-month internship. And I was supposed to stay 6 months and I stayed 2 years. And well, since then I'm just, I really like the organization and the way we work. And so since then I'm with Imece.
Well, kudos to you for taking the step forward to make a difference. Let's talk a little bit about the educational side of this. So you mentioned that you've started these programs in these camps, that you're working to develop a bus that is a school as well. So what kinds of things, given that you have these students for perhaps only a short time, perhaps a long time, you don't know, What kinds of things do you focus on when you're developing the educational programs for the students?
So I think the main point is to catch up on to get the children used to concentrate on a task, to sit and have, because we are talking about children who sometimes have never been to school. Also, sometimes their parents could never go to school also. So they never had to listen to a teacher, to concentrate on the drawing, to do all these things that we do usually as a toddler. So I think the main thing is this, and also teaching the very basics of Turkish language and Latin alphabets and basic mathematics. Our aim is that so we also communicate with the school teachers, so we can get them registered inside. But if you put a child from this condition into a school with a teacher who doesn't speak his language, and the child has to sit the whole day and listen to someone who doesn't speak his language, and he never done that. This is so difficult for both the child and the teacher. So we really work to just fill up this gap, and so that the children can at least understand what the teacher wants and also get used to concentrate on the task.
That makes sense. There's a lot of complications everywhere when working to educate migrant children. Heather, I think you have a question.
Something about the education, because now I was talking about. So we work about education with children. We work in two very different contexts. So there's this context I was talking about, who is in the camps that you have seen on the video. But there's also, we have a community center in Basmane in Izmir. And this is a very different context, because the children who are following the courses, usually their parents, they have been sometimes to university, they have, they know how to read, how to write, and sometimes the children also have followed school for years. So in this case, it's very different, because this is more trying to get the children still inside a schooling system, so they can still continue to learn and also integrate into the Turkish society. But this is very different, so very different context and situations.
Heather, I think you have a question.
I have a few, if I may. So how many volunteers and staff do you work with, and how many different countries are they coming from?
Oh, wow, volunteers. There were, if I remember well, around 700 volunteers who came since 2015. Wow. And sometimes from 15 days to, like, I was also a volunteer, so sometimes it can be really long. And we are now a team, we are 8, like permanent workers, mainly focused on the education programs.
And which countries do you all come from? That you've all relocated there, or are they Turkish as well?
So the volunteers, they come from absolutely everywhere, from Japan to Brazil, US, Australia, Malaysia, everywhere. And the workers, only Turkish people except me. So I'm French, and this is a local initiative, so only Turkish people. And we have also a branch. So Imece is currently 3 organizations, 3 NGOs. The Turkish one, which is let's say the mother organization. Then the French branch, which was created in 2019. And then the German branch, which was created in 2020.
Wow. One more question, if I may, Rushton. How many languages are the refugees speaking?
Wow, every language. People in the camp you have seen in the video, they mostly speak a dialect of Arabic, of Syrian Arabic. But the people we work with in Basmane, Lingala, Swahili, Farsi, Pashto, French, Portuguese, Everywhere. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, a question in from the chat about the device. So you showed us this device that that your organization has developed. It has a number of different tools associated with it. Are there plans to incorporate other things, audio, radio, in some fashion, or anything like that?
So I'm not sure I will exactly answer the question. Please tell me if it's not the case. So this year we built a wood workshop and a solar energy workshop. So inside this workshop, we built the FA solar power banks, but we also build wooden speakers and toys, everything with solar energy and wood. So we are now creating prototypes and getting fun, inventing new things. And so I hope this answers the question.
Yes, and are there partnerships that have been useful to you? Have you partnered with universities or other NGOs in order to develop the things that you do?
In developing the product, so we had a partnership with the various foundations. Mm-hmm. So among them, the Eurofins Foundation, who is supporting the FA solar power banks, but also other different foundations. So yeah, I would say Eurofins about the building.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the volunteers. So the people who volunteer for Imece, what do they experience? What kinds of different things do they do?
Oh, they do many different things. It changed a lot during the years, because in 2016, it was really distributions. So sometimes at 3 in the morning, we had calls and everyone wakes up during the night and pack the car and go in the warehouse, pick up things, and we do the distribution during the night or during the day. So it was very different. Then we had, actually I didn't talk about that, but we had the Imece village. So this was a community that we built between 2017 and we just suspended for 1 year because the land was sold. So we will start again, hopefully very soon when we find the land. And so this was a collective, a community where everyone, so the volunteers, the Turkish permanent workers, and the refugee women and children, everyone was living on the same place, and we were doing the teaching to the children and to the women at the same in this place. And at that time, volunteering was many things: organizing distributions, taking care of the children during the courses so that the mothers can focus on the learning. And now volunteers mostly focus on the distributions and also the education program. So currently, actually, I think they are focusing a lot on building the bus. So yeah, and taking care of very small children so that the big sisters and brothers, they can focus on the course, because usually the big brothers and sisters, they take care of the babies, so they cannot really learn at the same time. So doing this kind of things.
And the work.
Sorry.
That's okay. The work with the bus, that is in Turkey, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what barriers have you encountered? What are the challenges in doing what you do?
Oh, many. So many, I don't know where to start. Let's say that we are not professional. I mean, we became professional, but we all started. The person who created the Solidarity Cafe, like, he was taking care of an industry, then a cafe, and then he started to do those humanitarian programs. So, and most people in the team, we were not professional, and we learn always slowly. And every day I learn new things that I need to do. This is, a permanent challenge of getting skills in and getting more and more professional. I would say this is.
All right. Well,
Currently, sorry, I'm thinking also, I think the current main challenge that we have is that we are creating a social business so we already created a social company linked with the NGO in Turkey. And now I'm creating one in France also, but no one in the team is really non-marketing or how to cross borders or how to take care of shipping. And this is some things that we don't know. And usually people who know let's say that they need big salaries because they have very specific skills. So it's difficult for a small NGO to access such skills. So that's why it's much, we are slower because we need to get those skills. So this is a long process, but slowly we do it.
all right. Well, I believe that people who want to learn more about what you are doing can go to imeceinitiative.com, right? So IMECE Initiative, INITIATIVE.com. And there you can find out about the partners and volunteering and making donations and everything along those lines. Lucie, I will wind down with some messages for those who are watching the recording, and then we will hand it over to you for the final word. So for all of you who have been watching this, thank you for taking your time to catch a program of the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. There are a couple of things that we ask you to do. So if you are on our meeting page and scroll down a little, you will see the attendance form. By filling that out properly and putting in properly spelling your email address, that is, you'll get an automated reply, which you can pass along to your club secretary to make up a miss if you are working to keep your attendance high, because for Rotarians who do that, the focus is on being inspired as often as possible to see what we're capable of doing. A little farther down the page, towards the bottom, you will find our forum. The Discuss forum is where we and an online and asynchronous club share our ideas, both on the projects we do, on the elements of the meetings that we post, and on these programs as well. So you are welcome to add your thought there by creating or logging in to Discuss through one of the partner companies. You can also reply to what other people have put in there. If we always ask that people be kind and tactful in how they communicate in these spaces, and we hope that you will leave something that encourages others also. So, Lucie, as I mentioned, we always like to hand it back to our speaker for the final word. So, if you would unmute and give us that final thought, we will wind this down.
So thank you very much for listening, and we are always happy to hear from you. And also, I would like to remember the fact that we don't need to be always on the field, and that so much work can be done in our homes, and advocacy work, and also talking to people so that refugees and migrants are considered as human beings, and not as numbers. And I think this is something very important, and that anyone from our homes, we can do so much. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your message. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.